Hey everybody, Minecraft 1.13 Java Edition will be released in 3 days. And recently I got asked a lot on stream what are my favorite features of that update. So in order to answer the question, I want to make a quick video about my 20 favorite features. Keep in mind that this is a personal list of my favorite features, so it will probably differ from your list, and some of the features that might not be interesting at all for you might be my favorite features. Alright, now let's get started with number 20. So the first feature are turtles and dolphins. Don't get me wrong, those are really well made mobs. It's a lot of fun just to watch the dolphins play with items or the turtles chilling at the beach. They're really well made mobs, but from a technical Minecrafter perspective, they're not really that interesting. So there's also a nice feature that the turtles would lead you to treasure, but they, in my opinion, just mostly add atmosphere and are really interesting for 5 minutes once you maybe tried out the leading to treasure feature once, but that's pretty much it. That's why I'm not really that hyped about the new mobs. But they are still nice additions and I'm glad they're in the game. So at number 19 we got the Conduit, which is actually an amazing item. It's also a lot of fun to gather one. You need to go on a treasure hunt in order to get the Heart of the Sea. Then you need to hunt drowned mobs in order to get the 8 Nautilus shells that it takes to craft one. And once you got one, it's also really powerful. It gives you the Conduit power, which means you can breathe underwater, got night vision effect, and you can additionally mine faster. And on top of that, it also kills hostile mobs near it. So this is really the perfect item in case you want to build a base underwater, which probably because of the changed water physics, a lot of players will do in 1.13. But personally, I don't have any motivation to build a base underground, so the uses of the Conduit are kind of limited to that for me. So I personally don't see a big use for my game playing style. It's kind of fun, maybe fun killing method for mob farms. But in most cases it wouldn't be the best option. At number 18 we got the changed water physics. Good news first, we can now finally build slabs and stairs underwater without the air pockets ruining the look. Unfortunately it doesn't work with all types of items. For example, it doesn't work with the fence gate or the door. So what I'm impartial about is the changed item physics, that items now float up in water. I don't really favor any mechanic at all. Would also been fine if they would still sink down. But I guess we can live with that. Alright, then what's really nice, and yeah, huge thanks to the developers, is that they made sure that we can still also use the old mechanics. For example, you could still use a slab as a stopping block for the water stream, which is super important for item transport. So this is really nice that this still works. So we got the best of two worlds. So you can make a waterlogged block, but you can also use the normal slab. So for the old mechanics. Alright, then something which is a bit of a shame, but it would have been really nice if it would have been kept, is the ability to move water via the water locked mechanic. So this was possible for a few snapshots and enabled some really nice contraptions, but unfortunately if you try to move a waterlogged block now, it would delete the water, which in my opinion doesn't make sense, because why would the water get deleted? But it's as it is. At least we still have quasi-movable water using the Frostwalker mechanic with the armor stands. So this has been a thing since 1.11 and 1.12. So we don't even need the movable water lock block. We can still use the Frostwalker mechanic, which requires a bit more effort, but it's still possible. Alright, then one small thing which I'm a bit sad about is that the water mechanics changed. So we can't use water as a redstone circuit component anymore. So previously, 1.11 and 12 and lower, if you would update a water block, it would turn into flowing water from still water and then revert back after 5 ticks. And an observer could detect it and power piston or something else. So this was nice to use it in some redstone circuits, and it would have been even better in 1.13 since random ticks didn't influence the water anymore. But unfortunately, the way water works got changed, and we can no longer use this mechanic. At number 17, we got the pumpkin changes. So pumpkins finally no longer grow for face naturally, but you can still make a Halloween pumpkin by using your shears and even get some seeds out of it. So that's really nice, especially since it's another game mechanic. Always like mechanics. You could, for example, make an AFK carved pumpkin farms, since you still need those carved pumpkins in order to make, for example, a snow golem or an iron golem. Also, what's also really nice is that we can finally place pumpkins in mid-air, which also applies to fence gates. Number 16, sea pickles. So what the game, in my opinion, really needs would be more light sources. And at least the sea pickles is now another option we have. Also, what I really like about the sea pickle is that you can make a fully automatic farm out of it. Won't be the most important farm or the most useful farm, but as I said, I really like game mechanics and I really like making farms. So it's nice that we can now make a fully automatic sea pickle farm. At number 15, we got the bubble columns. As I said, I'm a big fan of new game mechanics, and it's nice that now we got the underwater currents that either suck you down or push you up. So this is really nice. But on the other hand, I think this is a bit too trivial now, because this is really the best solution for player elevators and item elevators, and it's incredibly simple. It's a one-block solution. So there's really no reason to build a complicated piston elevator anymore, because we have the best solution already in the game, which only requires to place a single block. In my opinion, those bubble columns make certain things a bit too trivial, and that's a bit of a shame. At least we still have a reason to still make, for example, minecart elevators or piston elevators in the nether dimension where you can't use those. So they don't make all of the old designs obsolete, and there's still a use for piston elevators. Now at number 14, we got the blue eyes. And I should be super happy about the blue eyes because it finally allows us to travel super fast using the boat on ice mechanic. You can reach up to 70 blocks per second and reach even faraway destinations in no time if you go through the nether as well. But on the other hand, I'm a bit disappointed because we had super fast travel mechanics before in the game, which always got immediately patched by the developers and taken out of the game. What the problem is with the blue eyes is that it's incredibly boring. You just need to place down blue eyes and that's it. There's really no creativity of the player involved. We got a one-block solution handed to us and that's all there is to it. If you compare this to the nice translocation or transonator travel systems, they could reach up to 320 blocks per second. It's just not as interesting. So I'm still glad it's in the game somehow, but I just think it's a bit boring. At number 13, we got the new underwater structures, like the ruins, the sunken shipwreck, and also the buried treasure in beach biomes. So I'm also a fan of new structures, and I think it just adds a lot of atmosphere in the game in order to be able to discover stuff like that. And here you can additionally find treasure maps, which leads you to the buried treasure at the beach biome. So this could be a lot of fun to do this a few times, and yeah, it adds a lot of atmosphere. At number 12, we got the Phantom Mob. And I hope I won't regret placing this high, because I've yet to experience how annoying those buggers will be in an actual survival world. But what I like about the Phantom is that they are a new challenge. So lately people have been complaining that the game got too easy. So it's definitely the case. The player got stronger and stronger over time, but the mobs always stayed the same. So I hope the Phantom is a nice new challenge. And there's also a new drop. you can get from the Phantom. It's the Phantom membrane. Unfortunately, it's not too useful, and yeah, Phantom farms are not really that interesting. So you can use the Phantom membrane in order to repair Elytra. But really nobody will repair Elytra with a membrane if there's already mending enchantment. The second use is you can use the membrane or to get the slow falling potion, but I also doubt that's gonna be super useful. So we'll see about the Phantom if you actually play in a survival world, I guess. At number 11 we got another new mob, the Drowned mob. I would have ranked those even higher if they would have dropped something useful besides the Trident. Useful in the sense of no better alternative. They also dropped some gold, but yeah, any pigment farm would easily outperform a Drowned mob farm. Right, so they're a really nice addition to the game, add a lot of the atmosphere, and in case they have a Trident, they're a real threat underwater. So it's no secret that I like making mob farms, and I would have loved to make a really fast Drowned mob farm, but it's not really useful since the only useful drop really is the Trident, and even a small farm would give you enough Tridents easily. So this, I think, it's a missed opportunity. If those Drowned mobs would have, for example, also dropped clay balls, then there would have been incentive to try to make a super fast Drowned mob farm, and a lot of people would have easily spent hundreds of hours in order to make the most efficient Drowned mob farm, and for a technical Minecrafter this would have been a lot more content. But still, they're a nice addition to the game, and I can't really complain about them. At number 10 we got the Ocean Biomes and all the improvements to the ocean landscapes. Oceans needed an update desperately, because they were one of the most boring areas in the whole game. So they had nothing really to offer except the occasional Guardian Temple and a monolayer of gravel at the bottom. But this all got changed. Now we got Kelp, we got icebergs, we got different ocean biomes. So this really changed for the better and adds a lot of atmosphere in the game. I think Mojang did a really good job. And at number 9 we got new blocks in general. So in my opinion, you can't really go wrong by adding new blocks. Some people will be extremely happy about new blocks, but there's really nobody that would be really sad about new blocks. It's always nice to have new blocks. So for example, there's some really nice additions like the new bark block, which is highly requested. Also like the new stripped log blocks a lot. Then we got new slabs and stairs. Also like that we finally can get mushroom stem blocks. That is nice. Previously you couldn't really break them without converting them into normal cap blocks basically, but this is now finally possible. Then we also got new Redstone Components, which are mostly interesting for the builders unfortunately, since they have the same function but just come in different colors. Would also be nice if we at some point would get new Redstone Component blocks at some point. So we got a lot of new blocks for the builders, but nothing for the Redstoners. Also like the new coral, so those were really some nice additions which add a lot of atmosphere. At number 8 we got the Trident, and especially the Trident enchantments. I really love the Riptide enchantment, lets you swirl through water. Loyalty is nice, so you can get your Trident back afterwards. And one of the best ones obviously is the Channeling enchantment that lets you summon lightning if you hit a mob. That is one of the best ones. You can also now get charged creepers really easily, which is really nice in order to get a lot of mob heads quite simply. And at number 7 we got the atmosphere changes with the new fish types and also the new squid feature. If you attack a squid, it would attack your back with the squid ink. I really love this for some reason, with the particles. Alright, also the new fish are really nice. So we got the pufferfish, cod, salmon, and tropical fish, which comes in over 3000 different types. At number 6 we got the Kelp. I really like making farms and always glad if a new plant gets added that lets you make an automatic farm. And yeah, Kelp is just great the way it works. It's kind of the sugarcane of the sea. So in the way that it grows, and also it's kind of similar in the way you make a farm. Definitely the flying machine farms will be best for the kelp, but there actually have a lot of other options that are viable as well. Also love the whole dried kelp mechanics. I love the kelp blocks, which are really viable fuel source. So I just love everything about kelp, really. At number 5, we got a creative only tool, which I would love to have in a nerfed way also for normal survival, the Debug Stick, which lets you rotate through different block states. So you could rotate pistons or also observers, and this would be incredibly useful in normal survival in order to build directional flying machines, for example, or to rotate glazed terracotta around in order to get the right orientation without having to break and replace it all the time. So this would be a great help if you would have something similar in survival as well, where obviously some functions are taken out. For example, you could also make headless pistons with this, so you can rotate through all the block states. So obviously it's not an interest that we could make headless piston easily in survival, but if you maybe remove some of the features, this would be a great tool for survival as well. At number 4, we got really a tiny feature, but it's just so good. We can finally place chests against other chests without having to resort to trap chests. Finally have it. Really glad. And at number 3, we got just a tiny little change, but that I love a lot again. So we got an Mspt display in the F3 menu. And this is something we've been already using on our slightly modded survival server. So we run carpet mod for Scicraft survival. It's an Mspt display. So here in the third line of the F3 menu, you're now told how long it takes to process a single tick. So at the moment we're at 7 milliseconds per tick. So this basically is a great way to evaluate how laggy your server is at the moment, or how much performance there's left to spare. In the back, you can see how many packets the client sends and receives, but it's not really that interesting. Most important is really the MS display here. So basically the game runs at 20 ticks per second normally. So that means you have 50 milliseconds per tick. If you would require more than 50 milliseconds to process one single tick, then a game would run slower. So you can always tell how much performance there's left to spare, and once your server starts lagging, just by looking at the F3 menu here. So at number 2, we got an unintended feature that later was made into an intended feature. And I have to admit, this is kind of a niche feature that maybe 95% of the player don't care much about, but it's exactly a feature that I like a lot. So this is my list of my 20 preferred features, and it's definitely at number 2 for me. It's the ability to convert dirt or grass into podzol, which basically makes podzol a renewable resource if you use the gravel duping and the coarse dirt mechanic. They can craft coarse dirt with dirt and gravel, then hold the coarse dirt, break it, and get dirt out of it. Alright, so basically, if you grow a 2x2 spruce tree, dirt or grass around the tree trunk would be converted into podzol. And yeah, I like this a lot because this is just a great mechanic and gives us a really nice challenge to make a automated farm out of this. So I can spend a few hours again on making a farm with this, while, for example, with dolphins and so on, I could spend 5 or 10 minutes with it, or go on a treasure hunt once. Just not as much content for me, at least, for Redstoner, than some of the other features. And at number 1, we got an unintended feature. And unintended features for me are really the best kind of feature, because they open a lot of possibilities that nobody ever thought of. Think about TNT duping, for example, that opened so many new possibilities, or translocation back then in 1.9. So those are my favorite kind of features. And this unintended feature is node blocks giving out block updates. So now you could quasi power a piston here with just powering this iron block, and the node block would update the piston below. This is something we already had in the game once. So before 1.5 you could also use a fence gate for this, but this would no longer work. But we finally got a block that does it while only occupying a single 1 by 1 space, and it doesn't require any block below. Right, so this is useful in a lot of cases and is basically a new Redstone Components. I probably spent thousands of hours in this game just doing redstoning, and a new component just changes so much about it. So previously the next best option was to use another piston for it, but obviously you needed a 1 by 2 by 1 space for that. And now we finally have a block that does it in a 1 by 1 by 1 space. Another cool feature is that you could influence the block event delay, for example. So here's an example. I push over this redstone block, then I quasi power all of those sticky pistons and update them with different blocks on top. So here I use a normal piston, and here we use node blocks. Now the node block would basically update before the other piston, so because this is a block event delay that needs to be chained. So you would activate those 2 sticky pistons in case we use node blocks. You can see here, in case I would use other normal pistons, then we got a bit more block event delay, and then there's a chance that we don't activate those. So a lot of new things are now possible thanks to the node block. Also another nice feature that got added, probably intended in an intended way, is that if you click a node block, then Observer could detect it. So this is probably intended. I'm not entirely sure if the block event sending is intended, since I don't think there's a reason for it, but it's definitely great, and I hope this actually stays in the game and maybe becomes intended, because it's exactly something we needed for a long time. So I hope you liked this video. I never made a top 20 list video before, but I thought since I got so many requests on stream about this topic, I think it would be appropriate in this case. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.